So before we dive into this topic, do me a favor, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel. You already know who it is, man. It's your boy, Reggie. Now, I told you guys on the last video we produced, the Lamar Jackson slander and hate has to come to an end. Now, Shannon Sharpe, he's kind of been getting exposed for his constant hate on Lamar Jackson, but it looks as if Richard Sherman is getting into the mix.
The fact of the matter remains the same for me. That didn't move the needle. It was a fantastic performance by Lamar Jackson at a time his team needed it. It was a statement game late in the season in December. You got to give him all the credit in the world. But the 5 touchdowns in this game against the Miami Dolphins, as crazy as it sounds, Skip, are almost as many as he had in the months of both September and November combined. In those months combined, he had 6 touchdowns passing. And so when you look at the full picture, I just don't see it. And again, people argue with me and they're like, man, you're just hating. I don't see how I'm hating. I'm just laying out the facts of the matter. If
you're
he had
not hating.
30
I'll
touchdowns.
be the first to say you're not hating. Go ahead.
No.
Yeah,
I think he's a fantastic. I thought that was an unbelievable game.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Really well against San Francisco. I think he's having a really good season. It's just when he had his MVP season and it was unanimous, so you got to put an asterisk next to that because it was so outstanding that he was the first unanimous MVP in the history of the league. But he had 36 touchdown passes.
Yeah.
And then you look at him having 24 this year. He had 1,200 rushing yards. You look at it, he has about 843 or so this year. And so I don't see it as the same in that respect. And people are like, well, he should get MVP because of what? If the numbers aren't there, then there's not much to say. People were like, they were comparing it to the Peyton Manning season of 2008. I mean, that season he had 6 fourth quarter comebacks. He led the league in QBR. There were things that happened late in that year that kind of pushed him over the top, but the stats weren't necessarily there. And again, that was 15 years ago. If I look at the last 20 MVPs of the National Football League, 3 of them being running backs, you had all-day Adrian Peterson, who had 2,000 yards. You had LaDainian with 31 total touchdowns. You had Sean Alexander with 28 total touchdowns. But outside of that, it's been quarterbacks. And those quarterbacks, there's only been 3, and 2 of them were co-MVPs in 2003, and that was Steve McNair and Peyton Manning. They had 29 total touchdowns for Steve McNair, 28 for Peyton, and they were co-MVPs. And then you have the 2008 Peyton season where he had 28 total touchdowns. And that's it. Everybody else had above 30 touchdowns. And so if you're going to tell me there was an MVP 20 years ago, they shared it, and then Peyton Manning 15 years ago, out of all the quarterbacks that have won it, and that's it, nobody else has had less than 30 touchdowns in the last decade, in the last 2 decades, then I'm going to say I would assume they would stick to that pattern. So I guess, Skip, but he's the betting favorite. So there's a chance he gets it, but I think it will be one of them situations where they have to split it because he has under 30 touchdowns. So they split it like they did in 2003 with Steve McNair and Peyton, likely giving it to CMC or Tyreek and Lamar because, I guess that's what they're going to do because otherwise I just don't understand it.
So now we're gonna split the MVP when it's Lamar's turn to get his second MVP. Best record in the AFC currently, right? The MVP usually goes to the best quarterback, right, on the best team. Let's just be all the way 1,000. Now we're gonna give it to a running back in Christian McCaffrey or a wideout in Tyreek Hill. Man, y'all gotta stop the nonsense, bro. Give the man his MVP, man. I don't want to hear no co-MVPs, none of that. You heard Richard Sherman say it at the end. Lamar is the betting favorite, man. What are we talking about? Now we got to change the rules when it's Lamar's turn to win his second MVP. Bro, he's the best player on the best team. What are we talking? And he's the quarterback. He's touching the ball every snap. Now we got to change the rules. Man, stop it, bro. This is crazy to me. But ladies and gentlemen, this is what Shannon Sharpe has been saying about Lamar Jackson for years, and he's finally getting exposed for his obvious hatred of Lamar Jackson.
It's different.
Yep.
When you're not going in the game and you know your quarterback's not going to throw 40 passes. And then if he throws 25 passes, 10 of the targets going to Mark Andrews. Probably 5 or 6 of them going to hit the dirt. Another 3 or 4 sail over the guy's head.
Yep.
So you guys heard Shannon Sharpe on Undisputed a couple of years ago talking about Lamar and his inability to throw the football. And he's been doing this for years now, right? And people are starting to catch on to this. So what I'm actually going to do is play you what he said earlier this season after the Ravens lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Despite the turnovers, despite the interceptions.
Ocho, you think, 10 games into the season, you think you're going to be able to overcome come playoff time when your quarterback turns the ball over that much? You think you're going to be able to overcome that?
But you know it's a good thing? You know it's a good thing to get the mistakes and the turnovers out the way now. Because if you could be 73 and still be sitting atop the AFC,
Ocho,
going into the tail end of the year, you're going to clean those mistakes up. So what happens when you clean those mistakes up? Then what?
Ocho, what's Lamar's history in the playoffs? Remember the first time after the MVP season, he had 5 turnovers against Tennessee.
Yeah.
The next year he goes to beat Tennessee. What happens when he in the divisional round? He goes to Buffalo. He turns the ball over.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, a pick in the end zone. He fumbled, strip sack. Today, another pick. Indy, they lost to Indy. Gardner Minshew in the fourth quarter. They had an 88% chance of winning. Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett, 90.2% chance of winning.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys heard Shannon Sharpe earlier this season. Like I said, man, the fans are starting to catch on to this hatred that he has for Lamar Jackson. And Shannon Sharpe actually had to respond to this.
Red Hood, you disappoint me thinking Brock Purdy is as good as Lamar Jackson and thinking he's elite and
I don't like what before you even answer him, I hate the comparison of quarterbacks. I hate the comparison of quarterback for the simple fact everything is stat based, for one, rightfully so, as you always tell me, because numbers don't lie. But the skill sets are complete.
They don't tell the whole story
but the
though.
Skill sets between Brock Purdy and Lamar Jackson are completely different.
Yes,
completely different.
Ocho, remember when they was having this early on when he beat the Cowboys? I was one of the only analysts that said Brock Purdy isn't elite.
Right. Hey, they was on your head. They was on your head about that too. They was on your head.
Yes. But here's the thing: they got a see. They don't want to listen to what I have to say. They just want to take snippets of he said this over here, he said that over there. I never said Brock Purdy was elite. As a matter of fact, I was one of the few that said he wasn't elite. Second of all, just because someone is playing good, that doesn't make them better. You can have a better year than a quarterback and not be a better player. What is so hard to understand about that, Ocho? There are a lot of people that won MVP during Michael Jordan tenure. Does that mean they were better players or they had a better year? That's okay. Same thing with LeBron. Same thing with Kobe. Y'all got to stop this. See, y'all trying to paint this picture now. None of y'all jumped and said, Shannon, thanks for supporting Lamar, because when everybody else was telling him to switch positions and go play wide receiver, I was the one that said I saw the man win the Heisman Trophy, throwing the ball
at the quarterback position.
I believe he could at the quarterback position. I believe he can do that in the NFL. When he was for the MVP, I remember his first playoff game against the Chargers. They were still in San Diego then, and they lost, and he didn't play well. I said, God, the guy's a rookie, and he's not right now able to throw the ball well enough in order to win. And what did he do? He came back, and from start to finish, he was the MVP. 36 and 6, 36 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I roll with him, but they disregard all that. But see, what y'all want, Baltimore, and I'm going to go ahead and say it. See, y'all got a problem with me. Y'all don't want me to critique black players. As long as I'm critiquing the white players, because when I was at Baker Mayfield and Tony Romo and all those white guys next, y'all didn't say S-H-I-T.
So, ladies and gentlemen, you guys just heard what Shannon Sharpe had to say on his show with Ocho Cinco Nightcap, man. Listen, I think he is getting exposed a little bit, man. I'm not going to lie, man. You were talking cash shit about Lamar. You just got to be honest, bro. You were talking cash shit about Lamar, and the difference between a Lamar and, for example, a Baker Mayfield or a Brock Purdy, Lamar is actually an MVP of the NFL, right? He did that in his second season back in 2019. Baker Mayfield hasn't even come close to winning an MVP, and Brock Purdy just got on the scene this year, right? So you haven't given Lamar the level of respect that he deserves. And people are calling you on it. And as far as Richard Sherman is concerned, I'm a little bit lost with Richard Sherman. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit lost with some of his takes, but that's really all I got on this topic, man. I just found it funny that these guys are getting exposed a little bit for hating on Lamar Jackson for whatever reason that may be. But you guys come into the comment section and let me know what you thought about this topic, and I'm going to catch y'all on the next one. This was another installment of The Locker Room. Peace.